Happy Wednesday, Dang Crew. Today, Loki Episode 1 premiered on Disney+, and it is magnificent. And I'm here to share and discuss my thoughts on this third Marvel Disney Plus show with all of you fine and lovely people. But remember to stick to the very end of this video for my final grade on this glorious pilot. Don't forget to like and comment on this video, and please subscribe so you don't miss out on any future content, folks. And if you don't,
I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye.
we pick up with the 2012 Loki, where he has stolen the Tesseract, and he is found in the Mongolian desert, where he encounters the Time Variance Authority and is quickly captured and brought to the agency for a trial, where he is charged for being a time variant. But before he's sentenced, though, Mobius, a TVA agent played by the great Owen Wilson, convinces the TVA judge to allow him to work with Loki on a special TVA-related task. Loki either has to accept or face being deleted from all of existence. Not a tough call there, right, Loki? Some overall thoughts before I get into the specifics. This was most certainly the best pilot episode for me in comparison to WandaVision and The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The premise of this show matches my style of entertainment. I love sci-fi epic time traveling series, and I'm looking forward to see how they execute this premise, as I was disappointed by the Legends of Tomorrow and later seasons of Doctor Who for their inconsistency and sloppiness. Fortunately, though, Loki seems to be well-grounded, funny, and intriguing. And of course, it is part of the MCU. Alright, let's get into some of the positives, which there are quite a few of. There is a lot of classic witty humor sprinkled throughout this show. I love the hilarious opening scene in the Mongolian desert, the slow motion physical reaction from Loki being hit in the face by a TVA agent made me laugh hysterically. A so-called quote-unquote god being smacked around by a bureaucratic agent. I also found the 70s retro aesthetic of the Time Variance Authority very intriguing. The witty banter between Loki, the TVA, and Mobius is entertaining, and I loved his failed mischievous attempts to escape and how bad they were, but nevertheless very funny. I also love how we get the introduction, the incorporation of Owen Wilson as Mobius, and it is fantastically executed, and the relationship between him and Loki is a great, if not the best, element of the show thus far. I also enjoyed the animated video introduction of the TVA and their origins narrated by Miss Minutes, the TVA mascot. This quickly gives us some context and history of the TVA, which is good and necessary for a show like this that's expanding the world of the MCU. This show gives us a swift introduction of the multiverse concept in the MCU instead of alluding to it in previous MCU projects. We get a little hint of Mephisto in the medieval church, which I will talk more about later. I also think the TVA is better implemented than the Time Lords in Doctor Who and in the Legends of Tomorrow. I'm confident that this series will handle the time traveling premise much better than these two shows, given the track record of the MCU. And I love how, after a few attempts from Mobius in drawing out Loki's motives, Loki opens up on who he is and why he seeks power. Another great aspect of this premise is the philosophical undertones of the show, and that is very interesting. What's fascinating about Loki's worldview is he thinks freedom is a lie, a myth. He may be a Calvinist after all. Sorry, a theological joke. And some may disagree with this point, but I think the lack of action-packed scenes works in favor of this show, as it takes time to world build, introduce us to the TVA, and set up future episodes. Finally, I just love how we get to see that Loki was D.B. Cooper all along as a dare from his brother, and how that wasn't a violation of the sacred timeline. Alright, let's move on to the mixed. Fortunately, there are not too many negatives of the show in my opinion, But one nitpick I do have is how tedious some of the scenes are, but not terribly. And also, I think with this incredible setup in this pilot, it has me worried that Marvel will not necessarily be able to land the landing here just because it is such a difficult premise involved, with all the time traveling, the multiverse variants, and coalescing that into a 23 movie cinematic universe that also has 2 other shows. So that has me a little bit concerned, but Disney/Marvel does have a great track record here. All right, let's get into my favorite part of these reviews/discussions, and that is my predictions of where I think this series is going to go. First up, we have, I think the main villain will be Lady Loki, as it is revealed in this pilot episode that the main villain of the series is going to be another variant of Loki. I also think we're going to get a setup for Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness, and Thor, Love and Thunder, where we will see the multiverse crack and break open, and the TVA requests the help of Doctor Strange and Thor to defeat none other than, hear me out, Mephisto. I say Mephisto because we get a little hint of him in this pilot episode, and maybe a tiny subtle hint of the mutants, just a little subtle reference, maybe doubtful, and possibly the introduction of Doom. I think Doom would be perfect as the next main or one of the main villains of the MCU. My final thoughts overall of Loki episode 1, titled Glorious Purpose. Overall, I found this episode to be very satisfying and a better pilot than both the WandaVision pilot and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier pilot. I'm eager to see the next 5 episodes and see how this show dives into the various timelines, variants of Loki, the multiverse, and probably much more. My overall grade is an A-. Thank you for catching my review and thoughts on the first episode of Loki. Before you go, don't forget to Hulk smash that like button, comment your thoughts and opinions below, and click that subscribe button. You don't want dirt in your eyes.